And we're back.
And we're back. Good to be back with you so
Yeah,
soon
yeah,
again.
so soon. This sadly will be our last episode with this setup for a
For
while.
a while. Yeah, we're going back remote. Okay, today we're going to talk about Silo Season 2, Episode 8.
Hate.
We got a little turned around in the last couple of episodes, but that's what happens now and again.
Yeah.
And we're also going to toss in a little Gladiator, a couple of episodes of
Secret
Secret
levels
Levels,
and Skeleton Crew.
and Skeleton Crew. Keep this nice and light as far as time. All right. Well, thanks for watching. And big shout out to our
10.
ten subscribers.
Yeah.
Okay. Silo, episode 8.
Whoa.
Whoa, double whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. First things I have to say about it, definitely the idea of pulling the wool over someone's eye is the idea of this episode, you know?
That is being revealed a lot more. Yeah. So that was a good, interesting part. Like we saw like a new part of the silo society, right?
Mm-hmm.
About the wool makers and things. We never
So
heard about wool makers and that they've got sheep somewhere down there. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
It's so interesting. They talk in the episode about how, before I forget the guy's name, but before the massive rebellion that we know and love, there were
Salvador
ones
Quinn.
Salvador
Yeah.
Quinn. There were rebellions every 20 years instead.
Right.
But because of what he did, burning information or,
He was the one, yeah, like basically that's what's come out is that Salvador Quinn is the one is the key person in this current era
right,
in the
yeah, who
silo.
saved the silo, really, as
Yeah.
he says.
Yeah.
So there's that really interesting idea of, who's right, who's wrong. And then going to the other silo, there's what's happening there is she survived. She was able to, get out,
Juliet. Yeah.
Juliet, yeah, but she had to go back down because she was feeling the effects of the drop, I think. Or,
Well, I mean, okay, so Juliet starts was left at the last episode seeing blood and an axe and having to have saved herself because somebody cut her diving apparatus
Mhm.
cord, and so now, the whole Juliet story this time starts off with like she's not alone, not she and Solo aren't alone. There's someone else,
Yeah,
and it looks like maybe Solo's been attacked
yeah,
or whatever. So that's where we start from, right?
right,
That's a
right.
pretty terrifying thing.
Yeah,
Then, as you said, she goes through this whole. She starts to try and figure out where he's gone or what's going on, and then she gets the bends and has to go back under, and then somebody cuts her cord again,
right.
and so there's the Juliet scene is that ongoing kind of adventure, terror, thriller, like you're not
Right.
alone, almost a horror, right? Like it's
Yeah.
almost a horror,
It really it's horror and mixed in with beauty because she goes back down
right? The diving
and
scenes
yeah,
are kind
she's
of
like doing water
calm. Yeah,
aerobics and then like her cord is like kind of like almost like an umbilical
yeah,
cord. She's, rebirthed. She has to, come back out and she's scared but she's got a plan,
yeah, yeah. So that was, we saw a lot more of her.
Hmm.
And uh, obviously now that we're on Juliet, like if you just looked at, like if you looked at that um, the whole episode and the setting of it, it is kind of a horror, right?
Oh yeah, no,
It
it's
could be it could be a movie about you're diving in an old quarry or something, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like we change the setting and whatever, just what's going on there
Right.
is kind of like isolation,
Yeah.
thriller slash horror, whatever. And then it finishes with like a band of
Of
Peter
yeah,
Pan's
Peter.
lost children, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
and so that's a big surprise that, so there's a whole other thing going on there
Right. Like,
apparently, right?
are they from this silo or maybe from another silo? Who knows what's happening, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, my guess is they're not from another silo, right?
Maybe.
But the point is that there were more survivors somehow,
Hmm.
and it also gives you a sense of how long ago things happened in a way, potentially,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or somebody's having other kids, or
Yeah.
who knows what's going on, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there's that. Now back to Silo 17. lots brewing there. Now, first off, we learned a lot more, right?
Right,
We
right,
learned about Salvador Quinn, that we heard his name before, and that sort of stuff. But it's come out that it's generally accepted that he's an important character in the kind of current era, but he's
right,
looked down as a bad person, right?
right,
But then they unravel. They really spill the whole story on Salvador Quinn
right.
this time, that he's the one that basically changed the situation in the silos from a constant generational
War. Yeah, yeah,
rebellion
rebellion. Yeah,
every 20 years to something longer
yeah.
by destroying information, right?
Right.
By smashing information and getting rid of history, right? Trying to
Right.
erase
He
history essentially.
he bought the silo 140 years of peace
Right.
until currently, which is really interesting to think of when you think of the pact, and their idea of, always blame the lower levels. Was that because of those constant rebellions, or was it just like forethought, Like we know that they've been the
Well, I
silos.
mean, the rebellions, the pact doesn't contain things about rebellions. That's a different book, right? Like
Right.
the pact isn't about
Right,
that
yeah.
that that management stuff,
Right.
right?
What I mean is that like the book that the head of IT
Right.
reads about, like,
Yeah.
when in
Yeah.
doubt, blame the lower levels,
Right.
was that written, super long ago
I think so.
preparing?
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah. I mean, I think that the point was is that if you were constantly dealing with rebellions, you had to have a plan it was more of
Right.
a daily occurrence, you know what I mean? It was
Right,
more that
right.
that that kind of thing. But you definitely see like there's like a lot of drama unfolded, right? Like
Hmm.
things got set up, right? Between a brewing rebellion and the upper levels, the sheriff who's kind of in between, but then the human stories, right? They were
Right.
having to like break into the upper
To
levels
get
to
meds
get meds and things. Um,
and then walk.
Walker, her girlfriend or lover or whatever it is captured. So there's a whole like spy, I'm blackmailing you,
Right.
all this stuff. There's Sims and his wife, and he's trying to figure out information. He wants to know. Like Sims is still like he's not a rebellion person, but now
Hmm.
and then he's having a relational issue with his wife. Who is a lot of secrets, right? It's a lot of like keeping secrets, sharing who's
Hmm.
got secrets, whose side are you on? I'm doing something like wrong, but I'm doing it for the better of this, for the better of
Right.
our relationship, all that. Like there's just but this was a scene where like things still haven't exploded. They still haven't been finalized. Like we still, but people are really questioning IT. IT's in a full on panic, right? He's
Hmm.
trying. Then you got the stargazer who's close to he's trying to decode
Right.
something, and the first message he decodes is pretty like right? Like he finally decodes something and it says basically if you got this far, you're fucked, right? Whatever,
Right. I
whatever.
don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what it fully said, but it did say
Right.
something about, like,
No. It basically said like if you've gotten things this far, it like you're not going to enjoy what you find basically,
yeah,
right?
like
Like things are not
it
like
was so jarring because, like, to me it was almost like if you're looking at a reflection in like your own reflection in a mirror, and then it looked at you in a way like you weren't, the reflection wasn't doing what you were doing. It was like looking at you and like,
that
holy shit, like
that's what you think he experienced, or that's what you were sort of seeing in that.
that's what I feel in this kind of thing, because
Right.
like it almost felt like it was pointing at him directly, not
Right.
like, as a person, but like
Right.
him.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if
He
you got
he
this far, smarty pants, you're already fucked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's interest yeah.
It was
Yeah, it's interesting that
awesome.
he's found that now he has to figure out what to do with it, right?
Right, yeah.
And so there's a lot of like everyone's rushing to find secrets and IT's trying to find its own secrets too, right? But
Yeah.
trying to contain things and a lot of
A lot of
lot
cool
going
stuff.
on and yeah, so Yeah, things
Mhm.
are really boiling over.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Awesome episode. Once
yeah,
again,
great.
Silo does as Silo does.
Yeah.
Makes everything awesome.
Yeah, well, I know there's an episode 9, so I'm happy about
Oh,
that.
really?
But I think we're getting towards the end where we're gonna be like, oh
Uh,
my God, we're gonna have to wait years to solve everything,
right,
right?
right.
Years for this all
When
to.
when was season one released?
I don't remember. We'll have to go back and
Yeah.
look. But
But
yeah. All
Gladiator
right. So
2.
yeah, let's jump in. We
Watched it a while ago, but
Yeah, we went as some of the boys in the family went to see Gladiator, multi-triple generations,
yeah.
and uh, I will say that it didn't suck,
No.
because
It
that's
was
sort of
really
what people suggested was it was gonna suck, right?
right.
And or at least in the stuff that I read. So that was great. And it was,
Mm,
it was more or less right. A whole lot of fighting and a little bit of politics and intrigue
right.
set in the late stages of the Roman Empire with
Mm,
gladiators and stuff. And there's some over the top things. I guess the most over the top thing was probably the sharks. I know that they did have in the Colosseum boats and things. Maybe they had fish and other stuff.
right. But
I don't
how do
know,
you
but
transport sharks somehow? Like,
who knows? They had aqueducts. They could have rolled them in from the sea. I have no idea,
yeah,
but how do you catch them and handle them and
yeah.
all that
It's
stuff is
yeah.
unlikely. But
It was a very good movie. Definitely
yeah,
a very good movie. It was not a waste of money or
yeah,
time.
yeah,
I personally did enjoy, all the like the fight scenes, the
yeah. There's a fair amount of fun fighting, fair amount of hand-to-hand combat too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Gladiators, fighting stuff, fighting rhinoceros and
monkeys and
monkeys and
sharks and
sharks and things like that.
yeah.
But no, I think it's a good. I mean, I don't remember. I think it's about 20 years ago, the original one, and it's a story
Mhm.
of personal, whatever redemption and all that. And this one, the guy is, secretly highborn and hidden away as
Right,
they used to do in the old days, hide people away so their whole family wouldn't get wiped out when one kingdom was one dynasty changed to another and all that
right,
sort of
yeah,
stuff. But no, if you like movies with fights in them and physical battles and things like that,
yeah,
a little bit of intrigue and some story. I'm sure it's not all that accurate historically or
yeah.
whatever, but some historical figures and a
Mhm.
bit of intrigue, who's doing what, and Denzel Washington, the kind of gladiator owner, the guy who runs the slaves and the gladiators and
Mhm.
things. He his character is interesting and has a
Mhm,
has a
yeah,
big arc of things and stuff, and
yeah,
so
like why he's doing stuff and
just well done, interesting, kind of like
mhm.
sort of amoral kind of guy in an amoral time or whatever, maybe not amoral, but just a time where you bought and sold people and did things and all that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
So
anyways, good.
really good
I
movie.
again, yeah,
Yeah,
I liked it. If you think you might like that kind of movie, then it's a good movie,
yeah, definitely. All
But
right.
yeah.
Sorry, good.
And so what else did we see?
Secret Levels. We
Secret
watched
Levels.
Secret Levels.
Yep.
I I really am looking forward to some of these shows episodes becoming
Becoming
fully
shows.
fledged series,
Yeah.
Like I don't know all the lore of all the episodes we watched, but it was very well made. We watched the last two episodes, one about an AI that's breaking down and, controls a whole city.
Right. It is looks like it's Chinese
Yeah.
basically like a set in China and
Yeah.
both these episodes and sorry, the second episode was the gamer. Unfortunately, I can't believe we don't know the names of these two episodes, but it's the young woman on a bicycle. She starts off as a courier,
Right.
and she's very much like in a game. And but for me, both of these, the courier one was much more, very much a you knew you were in a game. It was
Right.
game like there was a game going on,
Right.
right? And there were people, there were characters,
Hmm.
but they were very much in a game, playing a game. The whole thing
Right.
was like a game. The one that was like in a temple, right, with an AI being controlling a moving world. Um, that one was for me also like the most of a game that we'd seen, kind of. It
Right.
for me in a sense that like if the AI had said at the very beginning when he approached the temple and went in, like you went into the temple to play a game, right?
Right.
That was the whole thing, and you could challenge the being that was controlling
Yeah.
the
Temple,
the the city, right? It was
yeah.
a floating city or whatever, and the city was entirely controlled by this AI.
Hmm.
And you could go in and play a particular game, like a version of Go or something, the
Right.
Asian game Go. You could go in and challenge the AI to that game, and if you won, I guess you became the ruler or whatever.
Right.
And if you didn't, you'd go crazy.
Right.
And so but what I was getting at is when when the hero, the teenage young guy goes up to the gates and the gate kind of becomes this guy comes out of the physicalness of the gate. So it's very, like you're in some kind of future slash
Right.
video game, right? Because
Hmm.
what you see is not reality. Um, it was very much a Ready Player One moment,
Right.
right? Like that to me is kind of like what you would see at the beginning of a game. Like, are you ready to play? Yes, I am,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so for me, that like this one was much more of a game feeling than some of the other ones we
Right.
watched, which were
Okay.
like based on a game, but
But they were real
yeah, they were
story.
stories. You weren't they weren't set within a game, kind of. And
Okay.
and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
and this may have been set, it had because at the end of it, well, the end of it was kind of crazy, right? Like a little
Right.
bit confusing. Like did it just reset itself, kind
Right.
of, right?
Or is it actually like, one of the trillions of predictions the AI has to do every like millisecond and like, count all the possibilities and stuff, right?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like the AI's whole thing was that like it could see sort of in the future in the sense that like it was predicting everything and all the,
Right.
domino
Yeah.
effects. So like was this entire thing just one domino for that the AI saw? Like, oh, okay, so this is how if this how this will happen if I do like that when the guy comes.
So, but I mean, I'm sorry, I'm confused. The kid wins, right?
Right, right. But then at the end, like, he's like become the city, like the
Right.
ruler. But at the end, the AI is like walks through the door again, just like at the
But you
beginning.
don't, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question. Does the AI walk through the door? Did the kid just win the game and the game's resetting,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Or does the kid become the AI? I mean, who knows,
Right,
right?
right, yeah.
But anyways, that was
That was a cool episode.
yeah, it was a great episode, a certain genre, right?
Hmm.
Of graphics and storytelling and all that
Right,
kind of
right.
stuff. But again, it was very much game, there was a game
Hmm.
aspect to it, but then the other one we watched with the young woman as a courier,
Right.
that she was riding around like dinging virtual points and stuff
Right,
like
right.
that, very much a game
Point
thing,
chasing.
point chasing, and then
Her reward for, like having 1 second away from like failing the mission was like burnt orange and
right.
500 points.
Yeah, so it
And
was all it was all very it
yeah,
was all very gamey, and it was fun. I don't know,
right.
like I would
Yeah.
watch a whole bunch of stuff with
Right.
that.
Yeah, it works as the, it's like singular itself. People, I hear that people didn't exactly. It's funny. A lot of people, like individuals, really love this show because it's a really cool show. Reviewers are like, "Oh, I don't like this because it's like too much
This
act
episode or
in the series in general."
okay.
But I have seen that for this specific episode, people haven't loved it the most because
Oh,
this was made by an organization, I think like Sony or something, that has a history of like they're basically taking pot shots at themselves. But the thing is that like they don't really have the grounds to do it because of how they've acted sometimes. Like the people who made that Concord game were immediately shut down basically after it went live and then after 2 weeks got removed. And like people don't really like this company because they've done bad stuff
I
like
see.
this.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there's a whole bunch of like guest cameo of creature fighters
Yeah, yeah, there was
and
I haven't played those games, but there's because they're on a different console, but
mhm.
there's Sackboy, which is a really one game. Helldivers 2, which is kind of like Starship Troopers, but like even more corny and more
Mhm.
awesome. There was Kratos, God of War, and a bunch of other games. And
Yeah.
it definitely felt like a Ready Player One kind of thing, like
Yeah.
a bunch of different stuff happenings and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good thing about Secret Levels is that if you don't like it, you don't have to watch another episode of the one
Right.
you don't like,
Right.
right?
And you only have to watch a
Yeah.
short thing.
Yeah.
But the bad thing of that is if you really do like the
Yeah.
episode,
I mean some I mean, the first one we watched on here, the first one we've talked about, um there
the
wasn't really anywhere to go with that,
right,
right?
it
Like
was a
it was a real
self-contained D&D
and
story that like
it had kind of that circular, it had to start at the beginning even though you were confused at the end because
mhm.
it seemed to have brought you back to the beginning. There's kind of a zen aspect about
Ouroboros almost, like
yeah.
the snake and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
some of the other series definitely could become their own
Yeah,
series, like
because the people could have they were still had adventures to go on
right, yeah,
thing.
like the Warhammer
And they
episode.
created a whole world where this was very definitely a compact kind
Right,
of
yeah.
world. But
But yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm sad that Secret Levels ended, but I can't wait for whenever they make more episodes or more seasons, or some of these shows become actual shows, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Right.
I liked it.
Yeah, and to tie it all down, Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, I haven't been watching it, but
I really enjoy Skeleton Crew. It's a great show. It's been like likened to I forget, like not the what was it, the Boonies or like
oh, Goonies.
Goonies,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean it seems like a kid adventure somewhere between the yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's Goonies because on the one hand, it is lighthearted in a lot of places, and other times you see a skeleton, and oh my God,
Yeah.
kids shouldn't be seeing that. Like there are scenes where like you think, okay, so th why is this scene in this supposed lighthearted kids adventure? Seeing
Yeah.
like, sure, you can talk about how there should be scenes where like the kids should be like, oh my God, we're actually kids. I can't deal with this. I'm so scared. Definitely. But should the kids also have scenes where like, oh my God, we were almost eaten by giant crabs, or oh my God, the guy who we thought was a helpful person just betrayed us and threatened one of our
Well, I
lives?
mean, all the young kids need to understand,
Yeah,
have exposure to life, and they want adventure, and
right,
adventure
definitely. It just
requires potential fear, and
mhm. Yeah,
so
like there's not been any point where like one of the kids get like vaporized or anything.
yeah, I mean, and
And like it does touch on, quite a it's a really great show. I'd recommend it for a family show. Sometimes I feel that, there's scenes where like, yeah, kids should be exposed to slightly more adult things so they can grow. And sometimes I feel like, okay, so that was a bit messed up for me even.
right, right,
But
I understand.
yeah,
Well,
no,
I mean, I think your brother is a young teen, and
mhm.
he felt a little bit too old for it. You know what I mean? To
Mm,
really capture him. So it's probably best for old old tweens or whatever.
right. Yeah,
But
so it's definitely a good show. It definitely like maybe like a family show, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
awesome. Well, thanks for watching. Keep subscribing,
Yeah.
and have a great new year, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Have a happy 2025 and we'll see you
Yeah.
again soon.
Yeah, we'll see you for Silo episode 9.
Yeah,
All
or
right.
whatever shows we find.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right, until we meet again.
Until we see you again, take care.